So hello everyone and welcome to yet another excruciatingly exciting episode of the Case broadcast. It's hello from me, Patrick Twitchett, the Simplifier.
And it's a hello from me, Melvin Manning from M&M, putting business back into business.
And it's a big hello from our guest today, the very famous, LinkedIn famous, Chris Williams. Hello, Chris.
Hello. Hello.
Morning, Chris. Good morning,
Melvin. Being referred to as LinkedIn famous is like being the best looking kid at school with glasses. There's a caveat, isn't there?
Yeah. The stigma of it all, Chris.
Yeah. Well, it's a big weight to carry because there's many out there claiming that.
There are. The way proof is in the pudding. Is probably the best thing I can ever say about LinkedIn. If someone's talking a good game, do a bit of digging.
Yeah, I've met a few of those in the last couple of years, particularly through COVID, where everybody wants to train everybody and everybody knows everything about nothing, basically.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have got caught with going on courses that have actually led them nowhere.
Yeah, there's a huge misconception that popularity breeds success. And just because somebody has 40,000 followers or 100,000 or 1 million followers doesn't mean they're successful, doesn't mean they're any good at what they do. It means that they've managed to get in a follower.
There's a million and one views, isn't there?
Exactly.
And we're looking forward to hearing your methodology and your success.
I'm looking forward to telling it.
Welcome to the Case broadcast, brought to you by the team at Case Mastermind, where you can be part of a mastermind group. For more information, visit our website, casemastermind.co.uk. So let's first of all, let's start by letting Chris introduce himself a little. Just tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Yep.
And what it is that you do, Chris, in a short 30 to 60 second burst.
30 seconds. I can do it in about 10 seconds. We are a LinkedIn marketing company that provides LinkedIn marketing services for businesses and professionals.
Excellent. And the name of that company is?
MADN, or Make a Different Noise. And Excellent. The reason why we're called Make a Different Noise is the theory of, if you're all in a restaurant and you're all having a nice meal and sat around a table and there's a plethora of sound going on across the whole of the building, it tends to get to a crescendo. It gets louder and louder as more people start talking. The only noise that breaks through that is when a waiter falls over and smashes a glass. That instantly stops everyone from talking. We are that different noise when it comes to marketing. Good
analogy. And obviously in the UK, it's traditional to go, "Way!" whenever someone breaks a glass.
Yeah, I did this analogy with an audience in the States, and I was genuinely put back by the questions. Why would you cheer if somebody dropped a glass? It's like, because, and I didn't have an answer. Like it's quite mad, really, isn't it? That we laugh at someone's misfortune. It's a British way.
You could do it the Melvin way, where you just turn around and say, "Bloody idiot."
Well, I think that's the bit with this. Depending on where you are in the country, depends on your answer. Normally, it's way. If you where I'm from, it's way. Hey. Obviously, Melvin, you've got your own version.
Yeah, well, I obviously, I'm in a bubble somewhere. I don't know where I'm from.
Anyway, moving on. So, LinkedIn, and obviously, everyone starts a LinkedIn journey with 0 followers, 0 connections. They get that painfully awful thing from LinkedIn that says, "Would you like us to jump into your connections and do it for you, and then annoy all your contacts that really liked you to get spammed with emails for the next 6 years, demanding that they come on LinkedIn?" So how would an average Joe that's just starting out on LinkedIn, that wants to make a bit of an impression, where would they even start nowadays, Chris?
Well, I'm not going to provide you with all the secrets, because there aren't any. The honest answer is you've got to show up. You've got to show up and you've got to be yourself. Imagine use your LinkedIn as if you would use the premise of face-to-face networking. The more you talk to people, the more you engage with people, the more you have general chit chats, swap business cards, engage with the people that are in that room, the more successful that networking event is going to be for you. And it's exactly the same online. So many years and for so many reasons beyond my fathom, people tend to attribute LinkedIn and being online as this some sort of godly status that, oh, I can't do that. I can't tell my story online, or I can't put that, I can't get in front of a camera. And all they're doing is just saying, well, I can't do what I normally do every day of the week online, which is a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
So, if you're just starting out, top tips straight away: connect with people you want to bloody connect to. Send them connection request. Hi, I would really like to connect with you. Hopefully you feel the same. Thank you. Bang. We don't need to give them a load of bullshit about why we're doing, oh, we're in the same industry and I think that me and you would be really good together. No, you're doing it because you want to connect with somebody. Tell them you want to connect with them. Secondly, show up and be you. If the picture of you and you in real life are different, and that picture, I don't just mean the profile picture, I mean the image that you're portraying on LinkedIn on yourself is different to you in real life, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
You'll get found out. But with that showing up online, it doesn't mean that you have to bullshit your way there. You don't have to tell people how successful you are. You don't have to show people the badge of your Porsche car and your Rolex in pictures. You don't have to do all of that. Just be you.
Yeah.
And even Lenny agrees with that, don't you?
Well, as I know, Lenny's always in attendance at the proper network that we're on. So yes.
So obviously, if someone's just joined LinkedIn, they've just done their they've done their profile, they've done various other bits and pieces. Now, profile and all the data and detail you let's say think you should put into that profile page.
Yeah.
There's a big void in between really what you should put in there and what people actually put in there. Is that correct?
There is. And again, we overcomplicate things. We are human beings that think we have to provide everything all at one point of location.
Yeah.
There's two things that your LinkedIn account should do, which is exactly the same as what your business card should do, which is exactly the same as what when you talk to somebody face to face, when you meet somebody for the first time. Tell people what you do and who you do it for.
Hmm.
It really is as simple as that. Does your summary line, does your banner tell people that? Most people, it doesn't.
And if you've got one of these proactive, incredibly, ridiculously long histories, you need to keep that to the barest minimum, don't you?
Absolutely. Let's put that into some sort of logical context. So, if somebody lands on your profile, they land on your profile for one of three reasons. One, you've appeared in a search result, and then they click through to your profile. That is a minutiae in terms of that happening compared to the other two reasons. The other two reasons: one, you've appeared in essentially the LinkedIn welcome page. So when somebody signs up for the first time, or when somebody logs in, there'll be people also viewed, and your profile is featured in there, and people then go to click it. That's not as seldom as the first version, but that's it's still not massively. The third version is because somebody has seen something that you have done. Whether that's because you are a mutual connection, whether you have written something, whether you have shared something, whether you have liked something, they see your profile and they visit your profile. So people are more likely to visit your profile for that third reason. Now, that doesn't mean that they visit your profile because they want to know anything about you. Mm-hmm. They've purely visited your profile because of circumstance. And that is the majority of the reason why we get profile searches, or why we get people land on our profile. When people land on our profile, we have got over 10,000 pieces of data being thrown at us every single day. And some of it we choose to ignore, some of it we don't even notice is happening, some of it we actively get in and engage with. When somebody lands on your profile, the likelihood is they are in a proactive stage of looking and reading and consuming. But they've only got a very, very limited time frame in to do so. So if you've got 35-year history of 12 different companies, no one in the right mind is going to give two hoots about what you did in 1987 for such and such company. They want to know what you do now and who you do it for. Can you demonstrate that in the last role that you've done? And that's pretty much it. You don't need to go in War and Peace. If you're a job seeker, it's a totally different ballgame. Your profile should be used totally different than if you're in a business development / branding awareness sort of position, like the most of us are. A job seeker, we've got to prove that that person's been able to do the jobs that they say they can do in the previous roles. So that's why the two profiles differ in that respect. But certainly, if you're in business development role, if you're in selling my services role, what do you do and who you do it for? That's it.
Brief and to the point. That's your favourite, isn't it?
I have to say that bluntness is very, very, very refreshing. And I have to say, Chris, that's terrific, because I've heard so many sub stories from people saying I've spent fortunes on this coach, that coach. They direct me here, they direct me there, and then nothing happens and everything goes dead.
Yeah.
And they've gone nowhere. I think that's very refreshing. Really, thank you for that.
There is. I appreciate, and that's kind of why I fell into niching specifically on LinkedIn. Is one, there was a gap of people telling the truth, or not say telling the truth, but allowing people to understand the truth as quickly and as efficiently as possible. When I work with people, I only work with people for a set period of time, and we try and do that within a 3-month period, purely because there isn't more information that I can give that would last longer than that period of time. Whereas within my industry, there's a huge amount of people that try and get people signed up on retainers for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah,
I'm going to be your digital partner and that sort of stuff, where they're not actually adding much value.
No. So you're obviously a business.
Yes.
You're obviously out there because you need to make a living. We've all got families and what have you, and we've all got food in the old fridge, and we've all got to fill our cars up now at £200 a go. So it's obviously a very difficult world out there. So how does your process work in onboarding a customer?
Well, we essentially have two versions of our services. We have a done for you service, and we have a guide you until you can do it service. The done for you is we will take ownership of your account, or ownership management of your account. We'll produce your content. We'll do your outreach. You don't necessarily have to do anything with your LinkedIn account, and we can do that. And that's on a rolling monthly basis. And that costs anywhere between £500 and £950 a month, depending on how much content, how much outreach, what your project is. That seems to be more popular with your solopreneur who has got too much going on at the time that they need to be able to essentially outsource their BD / lead generation process. So that's for those sort of people. The teaching and the mentoring stuff is the bit that I like much more, because one, I don't have to do the doing as much, but we also get the better results because you're doing it at the same time. And that's where I'll hold your hand. We'll have weekly sessions. We'll get your profile first and foremost working as it's meant to, and then we'll start generating and creating content with each other, talking about the things that you can talk about, you can't talk about, the buttons that we need to press, the bears that we need to poke, as well as guiding you with your entire digital footprint. So it's not just about LinkedIn; it's about where LinkedIn fits in with all of your outbound marketing, so to speak. The aim within that 3-month period is to turn either an account that has no inbound engagement whatsoever to one that has, or one that already has inbound engagement to one that is now generating a lead conversion process. So every client we work with is totally bespoke in terms of the service we do. They're the two frameworks. And we have got clients from all over the world. We've got MDs of one-man bands. We've got MDs of companies that have got 300 staff plus, and everything in between across all different industries. Predominantly, our main industry, if I was to ring fence it, is in the recruitment sector. And that's not just as recruiters, but everything that feeds into the recruitment world as well. And I think that's more so just because of what LinkedIn is, rather than anything else.
So from me to you, I mean, what does success look like in any one contract? As in, you're obviously there to achieve, because someone's going to spend £2,000-3,000 with you on any one arrangement. So what? I mean, because nothing's guaranteed in life, is it, Chris?
Absolutely not.
So, I mean, in expectation terms, how do you deal with that?
By being totally and utterly upfront and saying, look, this isn't a guarantee. if you spend £3,000 with me, there's no guarantee that you're going to make £3,000 back in the 3 months that we work together. What we can guarantee is, because of the actions that we do and because of the work that we will put in, that your followers will increase with the right amount of people in terms of the industry that you're looking for. Your engagement will increase exponentially in terms of the content you produce and who's viewing it. Your conversations, so the outreach process, they will either start or increase significantly, purely because of the things that we do. We can guarantee that because, and I'm doing myself a disservice here, as long as you was to follow those steps, if LinkedIn was to write a guide of what to do every single day on LinkedIn, my job would be redundant.
Yeah.
Because
LinkedIn
it's
is
not hard.
forever evolving, though, isn't it, Chris? I mean,
Yes.
LinkedIn is an animal that started off as some kind of business processing situation, then it's become a recruitment device for recruitment agencies, and now it's gone full circle again to be a lead gathering device for to try and gather potential clients into your world. I mean, it's forever evolving, isn't it?
Well, it is and it's not. What is evolving is how we use the platform. The platform itself has still remained relatively structured to its original business plan. It was essentially a digital Rolodex for businesses. If you met somebody, you could put their business card in your Rolodex, and then because you build relationships from that. And that fundamental thing is still the same. Society has changed how we want to interact with people. There are outliers of people, still stuck in 1987 going, I'd rather shake the hand of somebody rather than communicate online, that sort of stuff. And there are those that are way ahead in terms of the scope of possibility for the majority of us. But for most of us sat in the middle in that average space, we're dictating how the platform moves, how it regulates, how the content is seen, what content we want to see. There's a common theme or a common statement that lots of business owners use on LinkedIn is turning into Facebook. And they're saying that in a negative context. Facebook, whether you like it or not, is probably one of the most successful business platforms on the planet. Just because it doesn't necessarily tick your high Fortune 500 CEOs box of how to do something doesn't mean it's not a good business platform. So the fact it is turning into Facebook, for me, that simply means people are starting to communicate on a more one-to-one, human-to-human level. And that's what Facebook did. That's why Facebook business pages blew off the roof. That's why the amount of money and revenue being generated on Facebook ads is absolutely astronomical compared to other platforms. TikTok's quickly becoming, as good as that, particularly in terms of the organic reach. But Facebook is a phenomenal business tool for most businesses, not all, but for most businesses. LinkedIn have seen how that's gone, and they've reacted 5 years too late, as they always are, but they've reacted in terms of how their algorithm dissipates content, how it distributes content, how it makes you see the stuff that it believes you want to see based on your activities, based on who you've interacted with. So LinkedIn's catching up, but yes, it will continue to get more like Facebook, and that's because we as a society have demanded that, not because somebody in LinkedIn headquarters have gone, let's copy Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's you can see how it's evolved. I mean, the feed has only sort of really come to life in the last, 3 or 4 years, really, hasn't it?
It has, and that's so that LinkedIn hired an ex-Google high-level guy, so a guy that worked on the Google algorithm. They brought this guy in to sort of head up the algorithm department, whatever you want to call it, at LinkedIn, to learn about human behaviors and to help our experiences. So if you, for example, if you like something, or if you stay on the feed on your feed, if you pause the feed from scrolling without clicking anything, without ticking anything, without commenting anything, that piece of content you're seeing, you're going to see similar content to that and by that author the next day. They introduced dwell time, and that's what that is, dwell time. That means if you stay on somebody's piece of content, LinkedIn are taking that as a positive social signal to say, this person, although they didn't click it, they watched it for a particular length of time. Therefore, they must like this person's content. We'll put that content in front of them again tomorrow to see if that's the same. If you like something, tell LinkedIn you like it. Like the post, like the comment on it, do that sort of stuff. If you don't like it, tell LinkedIn you don't like it. There's 3 dots on every single post that you can click. Click 3 dots. I do not want to see this content, or I do not want to see this content from this author. Tell it, because LinkedIn will then remove that from that picture of what they've painted of you as to what you like. So that the ability to curate your own feed is something that most people don't even know about. Many people, they know about it, but they don't know how to curate it properly. When you do that and you remove the crap that you don't want to see, LinkedIn can become a much better experience for you. And that might be removing the Facebook style post. That might be removing the boring business only related post. But you tell LinkedIn what you want, and it will learn through your behaviors.
Yeah, sure. And you obviously touched on there about, initially talking about connections and, just getting on there, making those connections to start out. But then building a following is something completely different.
Massively different, yeah.
So if someone wants to generate that following, and just for anyone listening, a following doesn't have to be 100,000 people. A great following of 300 people can be amazing if they're all really focused in on what you do. So we're not talking in thousands necessarily, but how do you generate that following?
Well, first and foremost, there's 2 things to address here. So first thing, the difference between a connection and a follower.
Yeah.
A connection is where 2 people make the connection. Very, very simple. It's symbiotic. It's this guy and this guy. Yes, we want to make a connection. A following is where this guy wants to connect with this guy, but this guy hasn't connected. So the default of well, I'm going to follow instead. So that means this guy doesn't get to see this guy's content, but this guy gets to see that guy's content. Yeah. So that's the difference between the following. With those connections as well, we've got 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree connections. 1st degree, both mutually connected. 2nd degree means that I might be connected to Patrick, but I'm not connected to Melvin. So Melvin is my 2nd degree because Melvin is connected to Patrick, who's connected to me. Yeah. 3rd degree is just one further than that. It means that I'm not connected to any of Dave's connections. There's no mutual connections, therefore he's my 3rd degree connection. So connections and then followers different. So to answer your question directly, how do you build a following? You mentioned that 300 core people following you is more than ample enough. 3 people is ample enough to get your content to be seen by a wider audience. What I mean by that is that there are engagement pods out there, and these are in the world of LinkedIn, they're illegal. You're not allowed to fake the engagement. So that means taking a copy of your post and then post it in a WhatsApp group or an email group or a LinkedIn group saying, oh, can everybody like and comment on my post? Get me some more views. That, 1, you're cheating the algorithm. 2, you're literally just fishing in a barrel. You're not actually fishing into the wider world. And 3, you're not allowing the LinkedIn algorithm to do its work. We need to trust that algorithm. So engagement pods, getting people to do that, that's the wrong way of creating a following. The right way is give to receive. Follow the people you want to be in your camp. Follow that person, engage with that person, spend time engaging on their content, sending them messages, having conversations with them. The more people that you do that to, the more people are going to do that back to you. You get to a point where you've got 5, 3, 4, 5, 10 people that show up every time you post because you've had that relationship with them, because you built that relationship. LinkedIn will see that as, these 10 people love this guy's content. We're going to start putting this guy's content in front of similar people to these. And that's where your follow account starts to increase. People connect or people follow you based on the fact that there's a mutual connection or you've written something which has been on point.
Are you a big advocate of quality over quantity? And obviously, the people being on there, because obviously there are traps there that you're not forced, but you join with people that actually are irrelevant?
I was all for, as I was building my tribe, so to speak, of getting as many people as possible on there. I'm going to give you the fors and the against for both. So getting as many people on there does help spread your word wider quickly.
Right. Okay.
So there is definite advantages to doing so. What I would say is have a real hard, fast look at what you're looking to achieve. So if you're looking to achieve, I want to become a thought leader in my industry, and in my industry, there's 5 or 6 other people that are writing books that they're on there that people refer to. How do I become one of these people? If you're trying to connect with people that are relevant to your industry and it's a UK-based industry and there's no point in being connected to anyone outside of the UK, there's no point, if I'm being brutally honest, to look at connecting with people outside of the UK. So you can geographically say, well, actually, people from India, people from America, people from such and such, they're not going to offer any benefit to me in the long run. So there's no point in connecting with them. So that's one way of providing a bit of quality over quantity. The other way is looking at job titles and saying, well, you know what, I'm only interested really in the senior people. And this is what a lot of people do. They think, well, I only need decision makers. So I'm not going to connect to everybody else. I'm only going to connect with decision makers. And then 6 months down the line, they wonder why no one's engaging with their content. While LinkedIn pushes this idea that there are so many millions of decision makers on the platform, what they don't tell you is those decision makers are the least most active people on the platform. So you might have an audience of 3,000 decision makers, but the chances are less than 1% of them are actually looking outwardly. So your engagement with these people is going to be minuscule. And that ties in with the lesson that we sort of teach people now is, while you might not think that person who works on the workshop floor or is an admin assistant or a housing manager or whatever, you might not think they would be a decision maker and have any influence on you. But they're the guys that are going to enjoy your content. They're the guys that are going to share and connect you to people that will be relevant. When you're targeting your reach, imagine it's a bit like a dartboard. It would be fantastic if we could hit the bullseye every single time, but we can't. We're not that skilled. There are different things, different factors that take into effect. So aim for the rest of the dartboard. Don't just aim for that bullseye. Aim for the people that are in those circles of the people with the bullseye, but don't just focus purely on those people. That's where your engagement, that's where your follower count is going to increase, by having that approach rather than just trying to be uber targeted all the time.
So I've got an awkward question to ask you.
Yeah.
So a person has a scenario, they've got more than one business interest.
Yeah.
And those business interests are very different to one another.
Yeah.
But you've only got the one profile on LinkedIn. In your recommendation, or in the way you coach, how would you deal with that?
I would be selling the virtues of you as a person rather than the businesses.
Right.
You're the central point. You're the kingpin of those two businesses. So we focus on who Melvin is. We focus on that. And because within your content, you can talk about both aspects.
Of course.
You can build audiences for both by talking about both, by connecting with both audiences. But your profile is about you.
Yeah.
And that being said, you might have 2 copy pages separate, but there's still the central person in that is you. So
I mean, you remember you picked up on that. Okay, I mean, the person is me who was asking that question, because I've got 15 interests because of the businesses I'm involved with.
Yeah,
they're not my companies. It's companies I act for, as well as my own businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, do I need to break myself up in 2, having spent 20 plus years building what I've built to date?
I wouldn't necessarily you need to split it. I mean, you can change the perceived perception that we're trying to give out about what you're involved with. So your profile, and I'll admit I've not looked at your profile. So your profile should be primarily focused on you and your business, but your content can be about all those 15 others.
Yeah.
We can talk about.
I do need to correct it. I mean, I am aware of that, but listen, I don't want to make this about me, but this is just more about the fact of many people have these issues.
Yeah.
And they'll come to somebody like me on occasion, knowing that I'm a big fan of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And say, what do I do? And I haven't got the answer for them because I'm not a coach.
Yeah.
Certainly not in that respect. But at the end of the day, LinkedIn for me is a terrific tool.
Yeah.
And that's what I use it for, purely in information gathering and then connecting.
Yeah. The one thing that we've got to be totally mindful of is when we're creating content, when we're trying to build relationships, is how we are using LinkedIn, and the purpose that we're using it for may differ to the person we want to connect to. And that's something that we tend to forget when we're creating content. We might think that piece of content that we've written is the best piece of content that has ever been published on LinkedIn.
Sure. We
don't get to say that. Your audience does. And they will tell you in their droves whether it's shit by it not getting any engagement, by it not being seen by people. There's a guy who I followed for quite a while, and he flip-flops between loving LinkedIn and hating LinkedIn. And he has this certainly displays this persona that his content should be getting 20, 30,000 views every single post that he does because he's good at what he does. Now, my argument to that is you might be the best writer in the world, but if it doesn't resonate with the people who are reading it at the time that you publish it, it's going to flunk. And that doesn't take away whether you're good or bad. That just means that you've hit circumstance. We've got to accept that. We've got to accept that some of the time when we send a connection request, someone will fire one back saying, "Not today, thank you." And you'll think, "Oh, what? They need to be connected with me because I've got a service that can really help them." Unfortunately, you've not got the message across.
So forgive me another question, Patrick. I've kind of got a million and one questions because this is very exciting as a mechanism in the world that I certainly live in. Sales Navigator.
Yes.
Now, do you have a view as to how you would recommend that to your customers, and obviously for the benefit of those listening to or watching this?
Absolutely. So we'll rewind a little bit. Sales Navigator is the premium product of LinkedIn. The idea behind Sales Navigator was to create something which enabled a sales team to be able to target prospects and use them as a part of a funnel flow, if you like, if you look at how it's currently being used, in terms of taking somebody from prospect to conversation or conversion. So Sales Navigator, it costs like 60, 70 quid a month, or you're close to £800 a month a year or something like that for a single license. If you're going for a corporate license, the cost can go absolutely through the roof. Is it worth the money? Yes, if you use it. Most people will trial Sales Navigator, dabble with it, go, well, this isn't worth 60 quid a month, 70 quid a month, and turn it off. That's because they've not used it to its potential. There's three things that Sales Navigator is fantastic at. One, it gives you a much larger array of tools for you to identify people. So the search terms that you've got in normal LinkedIn, times them by 3, times it by 4, you've got more search terms for you to use. We're able to identify companies on finances, so companies that have got a turnover. That, while it's important, is only as good as the data that's being pumped into it by humans. So there are areas where a business might be reported to be worth 5 million, yet on Companies House they've got nothing on the balance sheet. So you use it as with that in mind. The second thing, it enables you to search and find and deliver results based on activity levels. So if you've got, this is one of the stats that always throws me right out, if I'm being brutally honest. Out of the 842 million accounts on LinkedIn, less than 1% create content on a regular basis, regular being once a week. Out of the 842,000, there's only about 1/3 that are active in a 90-day period, in a 30-day period. And that means that they've liked, engaged, or shared someone's content or written someone's content. So if you do a search on normal LinkedIn, out 2/3 of the results that come back, they're never going to reply to you.
No.
So you're wasting time, and you can't find out who they are unless you have Sales Navigator. So you can do it under a spotlight search, last active in 30 days, and it removes all of those that haven't had any activity.
Sure.
So straight away, you're upgrading your ability to find the right people.
Sure. And is it fair to say that, because obviously you're only connected to as many people as you're connected to?
Yeah.
When you know what you're doing, and listen, I know we haven't got time to go through all this today, but can you play with that algorithm and manipulate it to be where you want it to be within reason?
You can. For example, manipulation might be not the right word, but you can tailor it to be more beneficial. I'd call it manipulation. Don't get me wrong, but manipulation always has negative context, doesn't it? So you can tailor it by telling LinkedIn what you want to see. You can tell it by having saved searches in your Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
You can use Sales Navigator as a separate feed.
Yeah.
So you tell Sales Navigator that I'm only interested in this list of people. Therefore, when anything happens from their account, tell me here. So I can log in every morning and go to one of my lists and go, well, actually, all of these people who I'm trying to target for this new course, this person's got a new job. I'm going to thank him and congratulate him for that. This person's got this. I'm going to send a message to them. Yeah. So you can really start to build, manipulate a process, if you like, to get people to see that you're active on their accounts, that you're worth connecting to. Manufacture, that's the word we use. You can manufacture the results based on the activity and the tools that LinkedIn provides.
Yeah. No, listen, I like tailor. Tailor's a good word. And I think that obviously these are situations that a layperson who has been ineffective on LinkedIn, I think, will appreciate now.
I think Sales Navigator is definitely more of an advanced thing. It's something that we teach and we help people get the most out of it as well. But it's once implemented and done properly, it can be an absolute game changer in terms of your lead generation, your business development work. Couple that with introducing that to your team. You've got a team of 5, 10, 15 people that are customer facing. You've now got 5, 10 times the amount of capacity to do what that one person did. And that can be fantastic to a business.
So Patrick, obviously I want to take my excitement out of this equation. So for the benefit of Case Mastermind viewers and listeners, where would you like Chris to take this as far as in assisting them with their journey on LinkedIn?
Well, as in, I think, I like our people to contact Chris,
I like that as well. So, I go with that.
So, Chris, tell us, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The best way, the one with the least barrier of entry, and that's another handy tip I'm going to give there. Whenever you're asking somebody to do something, remove as many barriers from it as possible. And I mean that by if you've got your call to action, so the thing on your profile that says how they get in contact with you, don't tell them to email you. Tell them to message you, because they're on your profile and the message button's just above the ribbon, right above that text. Asking somebody to email you because it's not a clickable link, that means that they've got to copy and paste.
Makes sense.
Putting barriers in front of people. Same with when you're doing it with text as well. If you'd want to, want to book a session with me, click this Calendly link here and go and book a time. We think we're helping them by doing that. We're actually making them go to another platform and then to check dates and things like that. So the easiest way is drop me a direct message on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm with you on that on Calendly.
Yeah, I know, Patrick, you're a Calendly fan, aren't you? So.
Patrick won't like that. He won't like that. We've been very nicely playing and fighting on that for years.
Efficiency, Melvin.
Yeah, I know.
That's the question, isn't it? It's efficiency, but efficiency for who?
The big efficiency is for Patrick, not for the person that would really love to speak to him.
The efficiency is it saves 15 messages going backwards and forwards. Are you free at 10? Are you free at 11?
Which I'd rather have that banter, because you can say other things while you're having that banter. So I'm a bit, let's say, not anti Calendly, because it's obviously a very clever tool, but I'd much rather have the banter. You see, I'm a bit old fashioned.
But it depends on the prequel to it, doesn't it? And how the conversations happen.
Yeah.
If it's a total stranger that says, "Oh, I need 5 minutes of your time," pick a date when it's free, not a problem. If it's something that you're trying to build rapport with, maybe the communication might be a little bit more
It's you and me, Chris, against Patrick. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Anyway, moving aside from Melvin's Calendly hate, I don't think, Chris, you actually told the audience how they can contact you.
It's the same way. Send me a direct message. So connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message, or you can email me if you do want to go the old-fashioned way. Chris@makeadifferentnoise.com. All one word. Make a difference.
Yeah. So if they're searching for you on LinkedIn, because there are quite a few Chris Williams on LinkedIn.
There are, unfortunately.
If they put Chris Williams Make a Different Noise, that will bring you up at the top of the list.
If they do Chris Williams PLM, proper LinkedIn marketing, that's my actual handle on LinkedIn. So they can find me with that directly. The one thing that is unique, but at the same time is absolutely imperative that everybody remembers when it comes to LinkedIn. It's a bit like a piggy bank. If you want to get money out on a rainy day, you've got to start putting money in every day. It's the same with if you want people to engage with your content, you've got to start putting the work in now. You've got to engage with other people's stuff. It is a very reciprocative, if that's the right word, tool when it comes to getting the value back.
Of course. Listen, there's so much going on LinkedIn. I mean, we haven't even touched on groups and various other aspects of nurturing, all sorts of tributary type additions that will be beneficial.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, everyone, for listening in. And I always say, continue to listen out, listen up, and listen in to the Case broadcast. So it's goodbye from me, Patrick Twitchett, and it's
goodbye from me, Melvin Manning.
It's goodbye from our guest,
Chris Williams. Toodaloo.
Thank you very much. To continue to listen out, listen up, and listen in to the Case broadcast, do hit the subscribe button to receive reminders of all our new episodes.